Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is entitled The Philippines, some of my favourite things. These are only some of my favourite things. As the song goes, raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. But they're not my favourite things here. And some of the things that are slightly annoying, but nothing to turn me off of the country. So they're just slight annoyances, because sometimes if you've lived in Europe all your life, or you lived in a first world country like America or Canada, there are things here that can be a little bit annoying, but definitely not enough to put me off the country. So I've written down categories here. I might go off piste in this particular video, because there are quite a lot of subjects to talk about. So I've pinpointed them as, I've got 5 things here about some of the things that I really like. Right, number 1, and of course number 1, is the people. They're very friendly, they're very hospitable. In fact, Filipinos seem to be actually made for the hospitality industry. You get called sir wherever you go. They open doors for you nearly everywhere you go. There's someone opening the doors and calling you sir and welcoming you. Everywhere you get a welcome. And people don't only call you sir, who are actually serving you. It's in the street as well. And they often shout to you, "Hey Joe," and because they associate all people who look like me as Americans. So yeah, they expect you to be American. So it's nice to have the attention. You do get a lot of unwanted attention. The unwanted attention is usually from people who want your business, taxi drivers and motorbike drivers. If I want to go for a walk, well, I do go for long walks, and I'll be stopped by people asking me if I want a lift. Obviously, they want to make some more money, and I try to explain to them that I'm just walking, and they seem to think that's amusing, because European people or Americans don't really walk. They travel everywhere by taxi or three-wheeler or tricycle, and it is sort of, and obviously begging, which I'll come back to on my side, where they're not my favourite things. So you get quite a lot of begging here, but it's usually, I'll go on to that when I get to that subject. So people here, even though they've really got nothing, most people, it's only really the kids who are beg. There's a few adults, but most of the adults go on to other things, go on to start, it's called a sari shop, where they sell like little things of coffee, little tubes of coffee that you'd get in a hotel, really small amounts of sugar. So they get a big bag of sugar and they divide it all into small parts, so people who are walking past can afford a few pesos to buy things in a smaller package. So they'll do that with sugar, they'll do that rice, you buy by the kilo, and it's generally in the street, it's generally cheaper than the shops. As I say, they go to a wholesaler, they buy big sacks of rice and they put it in smaller bags. And you can buy you can buy all your daily household, your cleaning products, washing powder. I've got Ruby sitting here, but she's too shy to come onto the film. So she wrote me a few things down, and I'm looking. But generally, people are happy. They're not really into politics here too much. Even though they've got nothing, on payday they'll go out and to a restaurant and they'll buy all the family a meal. Then they'll have nothing the next day. So it's live for today, really, and that's the mentality. But there's no moaning or anything. They're not downhearted. They just accept it. That's their life. I mean, most of them haven't really been and seen another side of life, so they're happy. They're happy, and that's all there is to it, and that's about life. Happy people, smiley, shiny, happy people. Right, now the second pointer is prices. It's pretty expensive for a Filipino to rent in this sort of condo. Well, it's prohibitive, and I don't think there's any Filipinos living in this complex, but they come. So this is it's like a condo hotel. So lots of people come for the weekend or 1 or 2 nights. They can afford to do that. They bring their whole family. Usually a massive family stay in one condo like this. You could probably get about 6-7 people in this condo, and they pull out a bed. They're not too fussed, but they're not staying here from month to month. Now this is sort of about on the high end of the rental for a studio. So you can get a studio here, as I've said in some previous videos. You'll get a studio here for about 10,000-12,000. It won't be great, but you can get a house here. You can rent a house out in the suburbs. The further away you are from the city, the cheaper it is. So you could possibly get a 3-bedroom house. I've seen it on other people's YouTube channel for also for about 10, 12,000, 15,000. It'd be a beautiful house, but you'd need transport. It won't be near anything. You can see those in people's videos that they make. Look them up, and you get an idea of the range. So this is close to a city centre, close to all the amenities, and the big plus for me is that I've got the beach. I've got access to the beach. It's just down the road, and it's lovely to swim there. And I've got a snorkel, a mask, and an air tube, and I go snorkeling. And even on that beach, it's not like the greatest, but there's still coral there. There's beautiful fish. Basically, it's lovely water. The water is clear and it's warm, and you get a couple of jellyfish, but not many. But the colours of the fish, I take rice into the water and feed the fish. It's a lovely feeling that you're really just about an hour's ride from a Marks and Spencer's, which is in the shopping centre at IT Park. So that's good. So the prices are affordable for people on a pretty tight budget. But if you're not that tight budget, it's much cheaper than Europe. And I went through the prices on my last video that I made here. So if you want to, you can just go back to the last video, or there's a few videos ago that I put down. I had about all the costs. So there's a bit more of a breakdown. So I won't go into that too much. Now the third point here, Ruby hasn't put anything under this, but I put scenery. It is a beautiful country, and the sea is so clear. And if I go over to the other side, to the island, Olango Island, there's a reserve, a sea reserve. What do they call it? Like a nature reserve for the sea. Anyway, you walk out along the swamps, and there's a long walkway, and you get to the sea, and the fish and the sea colour there. You just get onto I've done a video from there, so it's Olango Island. So if you want to go back, you can see, you get an idea. But I am definitely getting a GoPro, and it'll be waterproof, so I'll go under and show you the proof of the fish for myself. So over there, the fish are much bigger, are even more colourful than here. But here is just like swimming in an aquarium. It's just like you go to an aquarium, but here you just go down and you've got all the fish around you, especially when you're feeding them the rice. It's fantastic feeling. And if you can go dive down a few meters and grab hold of something, I've got places, I know that beach like the back of my hand now. So if you can grab onto a rock and just hold your breath, oh, it's magnificent. It's like scuba diving without the scuba, but you only get like 30 seconds, because that's as long as I can hold my breath. So I haven't travelled the whole country, so it's not a fair whack at this, but I've been to quite a lot of places. There's waterfalls. I've only been to one waterfall in Bohol, I think it was. It was in Bohol. It was when I had a hire car, and I was there on my own. It was a beautiful waterfall, no one else there, and there's lots of them. There's a lot in Palawan. I want to go to Palawan soon, and all over the country there's waterfalls, there's caves, and there's beautiful beaches with palm trees. I've put there's some of that in my videos, the Boracay video, where there's that beautiful palm fringe beach. But you don't have to go to like touristy areas like that. There's lots of areas with beauty. I wouldn't say there's not like much grass here and hiking in the countryside, it would be prohibitively hot. It's just too hot. That might be one of the things I put into the things I don't like so much. Right, so that's the scenery. I've yet to go to other places, but when I'll have my GoPro and I'll do it properly, or I'll have a proper scenery, a talk in the scenery where the camera's not jumping around. Okay, number 4 is dating. Now obviously a lot of older people like me come here because they can meet younger ladies. That sometimes is the number one reason to come here. You can go on dating sites. A lot of this can be very dodgy. You can go on dating sites and meet someone. There's good things and bad things about dating sites. I met the lady I'm with at the moment through a mutual friend, through an estate agent. I was looking at one of his properties, and he recommended Ruby. So it wasn't through, and then we just met. We didn't know what each other looked like, but we met, and the rest is, or we've been history. It's recent history. We've been together about 3 months. Ruby's not that younger than me. You do so. I can't really. I've done a bit of dating from dating sites. You've got. You know what? Most of the women do want what you've got is money. They want they want you to support them, because in their minds, if you're a foreigner, well, in their minds, it is probably a fact. If you're a foreigner, you're much richer than them, and you can afford to help them out. So a lot of the dating I see here is the age gap is massive. So we've got an age gap of about 18 years. But what I've seen age gaps of 40, 50 years. It's not only an age gap, it's a height gap as well. You got a really tall, the really tall people from outside the Philippines, with the Filipino who's about 4'11" or something. It looks very funny. But so we see a lot of couples, but so some of them are really big age gap. Some of them are a smaller gap. So it's not always the really old people with the really young ones. A lot of them are pretty much the same. Because I don't know, what you talk to a young person. I mean, there's obvious attractions, but would you talk to a young person about, like an 18-year-old, about what do you talk to them about? They've got different interests to you, but they always say that age is just a number. But I'm pretty sure, or I know what they want, and they know what foreigners want. So it's a sort of an exchange. It's an exchange rate. It's a bit of an exchange. So there's lots of women, young women, beautiful young women, who are looking for someone like us. If I'm speaking to European or American sites, American people, they're looking. So we're in big demand, and we get a lot of attention. If you go out to a shopping centre or a market, or especially where there's not many Europeans, you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of people ask you if you're married, or well, they'll say, "Where's your wife?" Then you look around and say, "Oh, where is she?" And if you haven't got a wife or a girlfriend, they'll either have someone for you, or they want to be your girlfriend yourselves without even knowing who you are. So there is loads of temptation. You've got to be a bit careful. So you're in demand, and you get the attention, whereas in America or UK, you're sort of a bit invisible. Once you get older, to society, you're pretty on the useless side. You've done your work, you're retired. People just see right through you. You're nothing there. Whereas here, the elderly get very respected. They're very respectful to elders. You've got if you're into, I'm getting to the supermarkets eventually. This could be a long video. So if you're in the supermarket queue, there's a special queue for seniors, and seniors get discount on buses, and but it's funny, they don't always get, if it's standing only, they don't always get up for seniors. So you could be standing, they won't get up, but they'll show you in their actions who've got a lot of respect for you. But generally, seniors are treated, even the local ones, they're treated with respect. And we're treated well here. And you know that the Filipinos have got a lot of time for you, and they want to know about you. They want to know your past, want to know where you come from, what you do, what you did do. Obviously, whether you were married. So you've got a lot of chances for dating, feet on the ground. So I would probably prefer to actually try and build up a relationship before you come here, so you know the person. A lot of people come here and they say, well, we're here and we'll meet a Filipino here, which is fine. But then you've got to take time to get to know her. You could get into a situation where things are moving too quick. They do like to move it on a bit fast in a relationship. It's not like endless going out for coffees or things like that, getting to know each other. They like to hurry the relationship a little bit. I'm not saying this is in my personal capacity. So that's dating. So I can't give you a massive rundown. I couldn't make a whole video about dating. As I say, I've been on quite a few dates. If you arrange to meet up, they're not always the most timely. Once I waited over an hour. I've waited an hour in a shopping centre. I said I'll meet up at a certain time. They're not there, and they've texted me and said that they're on their way in. It's about an hour's time, and I don't think that's very respectable. I know it's the way of the Philippines, but if you want to meet, I think you should be a reasonable person and come the time that you've arranged. So that will happen quite a lot. It could be 10 minutes, could be 15 minutes, that's fine. But if you waited an hour, and I know I've left I usually meet people in shopping centres or a public place. But if you've waited an hour and they haven't come, I'm sorry, I'll just leave. And then they beg and say, well, let's try it again. I've always said once bitten, twice shy. So there's a few times that's happened. No, there's about 3 or 4 times that's happened, just waited. So the people, the women who turn up on time have got more respect. I like that, because that's going to go through your whole relationship. Time is going to be, if you want to do something at a certain time, you expect it to be done at a certain time. Otherwise, if there's too lax about the time, it's going to go through the whole relationship. Anyway, that's as far as dating goes. There'll probably be a lot of comments about that. But anyway, I'll answer. If you do want to comment, I've answered I think nearly every comment that I needed to answer. So I'll try and answer as many as I can, but as many appropriate ones I'll answer. I'll go into the other side of dating in my not so favourite things. Right, the last item here is food. You can make what you want of this. This is the diet here is very rice based, so it's rice with everything. Your average meal, you're going to get like pork on it, grilled meat, chicken or pork. Chicken and pork are the main meats here, and you're gonna get it on skewers, done over the coals. So you get a couple of skewers of pork or chicken, and you get rice, and you get like a little bit of sauce with it. And that's usually in the street. That usually costs about 100 pesos. It's not going to be much more, and sometimes it's less than that. So that's about £1.50, and that's a meal. You'd be satisfied with that for lunch or supper. A lot of the food is fried. Chicken in the street, you get lots and lots of fried chicken, but it's not fried in fresh oil. The oil they get is usually from the places the restaurants that can't use the oil anymore, like Jollibee or KFC. So they get the oil from that, and then they fry it so many times because they can't sell it all at the same time. So they keep frying the same bit of chicken. It's not healthy. So I'm going to the lower side of the food chain here. So they've got what you call as calendarias. Calendaria is it's usually outside restaurant, and some of them are covered, that have got all these foods underneath a tray. They're underneath trays. I've shown you them in previous videos. And you pick you pick a food. So you'll take the lid off the tray, and you'll see the food. A lot of it's like some of it's pig's blood and intestines. And so some of that stuff is pretty nice, but it's not the normal stuff that you'd get as a Western food. And then it's your normal fried chicken, rice. They're not really big on beans. The rice is the staple. I look for couscous, and that's very hard to find here. You've got to really look around. There's some foods that are really hard to find. I found polenta as well. So it's possible to get a variety on that, but most of this diet is on rice. So the food outside is usually alright. I've had a couple of jippy stomachs from some of the caladarias, but I think it wasn't that serious. It didn't last for days. And generally you can eat very, very cheaply. Like under 100 pesos would be a meal, and you get food, you get a drink with that as well. I mean, but it's very basic. So you just sit on a basic bench, a basic chair. There's nothing glamorous about it. But you come out with your stomach full. You might come out with something else. The street food, there's chains of restaurants which is one step up from that. There's Chow King, Jollibee, Greenwich, Pizza Hut. So a lot of the ones that are in the UK, there you could probably for about £2.50, you get a meal with a full meal with a drink, and they're much safer because you know they haven't fried them over and over again. And they're pretty well. Jollibee is everywhere. There's a Jollibee near enough on every corner. But funny enough, our Jollibee here in Mactan, I've never been in there because it's always queues. So there's not another one around. But we've got right next to where I live, there's a McDonald's. That's not usually that crowded. But when it does get crowded, they've only got two ordering machines, which is a bit annoying. And they're a bit, I'd say, inefficient with their orders. Sometimes you don't get what you've ordered. So that's one step up. Then of course you've got the high-end restaurants dotted around. You've got lots of you've got Italian restaurants, you've got Middle Eastern restaurants, French restaurants. The high-end restaurants would be about most of the meals there will be about £6 or £7. You can have drinks with it. So you could still, for £10, you'd get a really good meal, and in a top-class place. Most restaurants are air-conditioned, which you need. Most places, shopping centres, are air-conditioned. So the food here is, I would say the food is pretty good. It's just that the choice isn't. The choice could be on the better side. Those fast food places are more or less the same thing. They like to do spaghetti with sausages in it. They do like a spaghetti thing. It's quite nice, but they do it everywhere. They do it at Greenwich as well. Chowking is got a little bit different, but they've got, it's called somi, and it's like chunks of pork or chicken with like a little skin around it, and that's about a mouthful really. So that's quite a nice street food. They give you a little sauce with it, and usually you can buy about 4 pieces for about 50 pesos, which is about 70p. And it's quite a nice street food. You buy fried bananas, also for about 70p, or even less than that. You get 2 fried bananas on a stick. I'm going to do a food tour for you when I get my GoPro. I'll go around food places and I will try a lot of food. But doing it with the phone is be too shaky. It wouldn't come out all that nice. Let's see what I'm on now. Oh, I've done 30 minutes already. Okay. There'll be lots of things I've missed out here. But I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, another good thing is, another thing I really like is travelling. It's very, very cheap. Buses are plentiful. Taxis there's loads of taxis, loads of buses, no trains really. There's a train system in Manila, which is what I found was pretty good. Here there's nothing, but the long distance buses it's very cheap, and so you get I'm going to go on a trip to Oslo soon, and I want to fly out to Palawan. So the flights there are it depends when you book them obviously, but it's probably be about 30 quid return to Palawan. It'd be on the equivalent of Ryanair, the cheap aircraft. So either Philippine Airways or Cebu Air or Air Asia. So from here, from my airport here, I did an airport video. Not many people watched it, but I did an airport video. They go as far away as Shanghai from here, and they might go to Europe, but I'm not really up with that. So just a few of the things that are possible. Very cheap to, and it's cheap to book ferries as well. So ferries run from all over the place. The ferry, I can't tell you all the places the ferries run from, but there's ferries from everywhere to everywhere. So it's worth looking into the ferry routes. So you could get a ferry over to Palawan, it'd just take probably about a day. So it's easier to fly. Right. So that's some of the favourite things. Now some of my not favourite things, but not really bad things. I hope you stay with me till this point. You're very brave if you have. But I put number one. I think everyone puts this as one of their not favourite things. I've seen quite a few videos on this. It's waiting at supermarkets, waiting in shops. Obviously, they don't want to employ loads and loads of staff, and the tills can be a bit slow. It's not like I'll go into my next point. It sort of naturally follows this. So a lot of times you've got to wait. You could wait 5-10 minutes for each person to get through, because it's just not as efficient as UK. I can only talk for UK really. But it's just it's a really minor frustration. The other thing, I think the more of a frustration in the shop is not marking prices on things. Lots of things haven't got prices on, so you've got price checkers in every shop, but you don't have to lift up everything and go to a price checker every time you want to know the price. So I've been to some supermarkets that haven't got prices on hardly anything, and you've got to keep going to the price checker to find out what it is. So that is a little bit frustrating, and there's a lot of people who aren't doing much work so they could be putting prices on things and make it easier. So don't expect the same sort of efficiency as a UK supermarket. They don't have they don't have self-service checkouts. That might be a disaster here in a lot of ways. But I'm going to get into the shops generally. The supermarkets we've got a Robinsons down below. It's a supermarket. It's not a big one, but it's got everything you want. You would need. It hasn't got any things from overseas, but most of the foreign aisles are Korean food and China, South Korean and Taiwanese, because they make up the majority of the population of expats here. Because you've got Taiwan right in the north of here, and I don't want to get political, but China are threatening that island, so a lot of Taiwanese want to find somewhere else they can live. So there's lots of them here, and hence there's lots of Taiwanese restaurants. They like the gambling as well, so the holding out casinos. You'll see the casino in my last. Well, you won't see the casino, but you'll see the complex in one of my last videos. Right, number two in the least favourite things. It's mostly cash only. So most supermarkets you'll be able to pay with card, but there's not many places that are tap and go. So the card that I would pay with to tap and go, I would they would ask for the PIN number as well. So I've very rarely seen tap and go here. It does happen. So most supermarkets do take a card, but everywhere else, most other places, you need a cash. You need a cash, or you need cash. I remember the first place I went to in Manila, a hotel. I stayed there for a week, and I thought, well, you give them a card and they'll take the card. Oh no, they don't. It's only cash, and that was a week's accommodation. So they sent a security guard with me to the cash machine around the corner to draw out cash. So I'm not used to paying for accommodation with cash, but here my accommodation here is fine. I've just linked my cards to their account. So it does depend on the place, but transport you can't pay with cards. It's got to be cash. The problem, a lot of the problem is if you go to an ATM and you draw out cash, it's going to be in 1,000 peso notes. You try giving a driver 1,000 pesos for a 20 peso ride, you're not going to be very popular. I doubt if it'll have change most of the time. So you'll have to walk around with loads of coins in your wallet and smaller notes. So they do a 50 peso, they do a 20 peso note, but I think they're taking them out of circulation. They're really in bad condition if you get a 20 peso note. So you've got 20 peso, 50 peso, 100, 200, 500 and 1,000. And most of the places, so it's nice to have smaller money, and you can pay your transport, and most of the food places is just cash only. If you sit down in a restaurant like the McDonald's and Jollibees, they generally do take cards. So always have cash on hand, otherwise you could be in trouble. Or anything else? So ask whether they do take cash before or card, because then you could end up. I don't know I've never been in a situation where I haven't had enough cash, and they don't take cards. But you could be in that situation, so be careful. There's not that much pickpocketing, or there's not much crime in a general city. There is crime, but I haven't seen much. So I know there's going to be people that says, well, I got robbed here and I got robbed there. But I'm going by my own experience. I haven't been robbed yet, and I haven't been sort of scammed on the street or anything like that. But I know it's any type of society and any big city, you're going to have your wits about you. I got into dating, and this is a little bit about dating. I've entitled this. It's not. Well, I've entitled this "Lady Boys" anyway. So there's a lot here, a lot of lady boys. Now, my girlfriend Ruby, she can see. They don't even have to speak. She can see as soon as she spots them that they're a lady boy. They call them bakla here. So she'll say bakla, and I know what she means. But some of them are absolutely stunning. You'd swear that they were women. Oh, they've got beautiful figures. They just look perfect. They're the most attractive women are the lady boys. But most of the times I can tell, because as soon as they speak, and as soon as you get close to them, you can tell. But a lot of the times people are fooled, and a lot of the lady boys are double as prostitutes. And there's a lot of prostitution here. You can understand that because of the financial situation. And it's dead easy to find prostitutes, and it's not expensive, but it's not something I do. That's not something I'm going to go into. It was just, yeah. And a lot of people here are naturally effeminate, even if they're not lady boys. There's a lot of people who are on the sort of the lady side of their manhood. So, but it's not like a big problem you'll encounter, but and just you might get a bit of a shock if you haven't judged it right. And I wouldn't want anyone to. Anyway, I'll get off of that situation. Right, number 4, poverty and begging. There is a lot of poverty. A lot of people are not educated, not qualified to do anything. They can't afford to put themselves through university. So even if they want to study, the choices are pretty limited. I don't think they do student loans to get people through university. There's lots and lots of schools. They want to learn, but to get out of that poverty trap, it's the same in any country you go to. To get out of that poverty trap, it's very, very hard, and there are very few people manage to do it. So most people, instead of turning to begging, they do other things. They try and sell things on the street, which their attitude is a little bit of money is better than nothing. So they don't make much. So the sari shops are everywhere, and if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Really, they sell the same things. What I've just mentioned, well, I mentioned it earlier on in the video, the sort of things they sell. You'll get them everywhere. So you'll never be short of a sari shop. Bakeries, also you get lots of little bakeries, and they sell like little bread and cakes, small breads and small cakes, and they'll be under 10 pesos. Most things there would be under 10 pesos. So well, there's 70 pesos in the pound. So you could actually eat at a bakery for well under £1. You'd have a pretty good meal. So most bakeries haven't got a sit down area. There's just a counter. You see the bread there. I've done it in other videos. I'll include it in future videos. And what other ways of doing it? So other ways of selling water. You sell water. The funny enough, they mix peanuts with water. So they have a bag of peanuts and have bottles of water. And they'll stand at the side of the road where the cars are stopping by the traffic lights, and they'll come out and sell peanuts and water. And that's another way of making a few. They'll sell the water for about I think 15 or 20 pesos. They make about 5 pesos on each one. Same with the peanuts. So you've got to sell a lot during the day, and that's a very sweaty job. They'll do other things like they're driving jeepneys, driving buses. Most of them don't own the jeepneys or the buses, but they'll be doing that for 12 hours a day. Probably most of them will earn about 1,000 pesos. That's about $12.50 £13 a day, and people who actually go out to work as really anything, shop assistants or any unskilled jobs, the minimum wage here is about 450 pesos, which is about £5 or £6. I'll try and put these things up in the description, but if I can remember. But the wages aren't very high here. Obviously, the demand for jobs is more than the jobs. It's the jobs themselves. So there's a high demand, not many jobs. They sort of make jobs up themselves. So put someone at a door in a restaurant. That'd be their job. Just open the door for people. And there'll be lots of people who sweep floors, things. Yeah, you get lots and lots of cleaners. But there's really too big a population, too few jobs. That's basically what it is here. So there'll be most of the begging is little kids. They'll come up to you. I think this is their first words of English, or the only words of English they'll know. Give me money. Give me money. I'm hungry. So that'll be. So you give them 5-10 pesos. They're happy. They won't bother you again. They'll run away and they'll buy something or whatever. But they're not aggressive. So you give them a little bit, and they're happy, and that's it. They won't bother you. But you get that sometimes you walk through township on your own, and they'll see who you are, and obviously that's your big target. Big target for begging. So you can the parents are sometimes like near the kids, and they just see it as a funny thing. But you won't really see adults doing that. Occasionally you get some they have to be very, very desperate. But you're not going to see like a normal adult doing that. It's like every place has got dire poverty. Sometimes you'll see crazy people as well, or men walking around naked. But that's usually, it's not so much poverty there. I think there's usually a bit of a craziness there. Well, it is a bit of craziness. So my last point here is I've entitled it "Walking on Pavements, Stroke Traffic." So this is a big city, and in the city, the roads are not the greatest. There's certain junctions as well. Traffic lights sometimes never work, so it's first come it's the most aggressive person gets across, and there's a lot of it's aggressive driving, but it's not angry driving. I've never seen any road rage whatsoever. I mean, people honk their horns and they are aggressive, but they're not swearing at each other or threatening violence. So you'll get jeepneys are probably the worst for it. They'll drive in places where not supposed to drive. And when you're walking in a city, a lot of places haven't got pavements, or anywhere. A lot of places you're walking without pavements. So you have to be very careful. I try to face the oncoming traffic all the time. They're pretty, well, I haven't been hit yet. Been a couple of near ones. But they're usually, I don't know how they do it. They're driving for 12 hours. They're driving the car, they're giving change as well. And they've got to stop for people all the time, and they've got people are shouting for them to stop. So there's no bus stops or anything, so they stop and they start whenever whenever people are waiting and they want to get as many bums on seats, want to earn capacity, so they will be aggressive in that way, and they'll try and overtake the next jeepney so they can get more opportunities. There's always people on the streets waiting for transport, so they just stop. So it could be get one person they stop for, and then there's another person who wants the same vehicle who's not even 20 yards away, and there's a stop again. So if you want to get somewhere in a real hurry and you're on public transport, forget it. Taxis are the alternative. Taxis, I've told you this in the last one, but I'll tell you it again. Start the meters on 40 pesos, and they go up to go up as much as you want. But generally they are a fairly cheap way of going around. The cars are in decent condition. Just don't go into a taxi without a meter, because then they'll charge you what they want. Tricycles do charge you whatever they want. Try and get the price before you go into the tricycle and negotiate with the driver. They will give you a price, but if you look like you're not a Filipino, they'll give you a big price. So when you're with a Filipino, it's like bargain land. Sometimes you pay 100 pesos more for a trip on your own than when you're going with a Filipino. So traffic here gets a bit dense. It can take a long time. It's not as bad as London, not as bad as European cities. But it does. People do moan about the traffic, and in Manila as well. But it's a big city. That's what you're going to get. The road structure isn't. It's not a modern road structure. It's really based on an old-fashioned road structure. You won't get. There's not many places with more than 2 lanes. I've never seen a motorway. But the road conditions outside of the cities are usually pretty good. It's concrete blocks that they drive on. And I've never seen really many potholes. But when they put out tarmac, they put down tarmac place. I don't know why they do it, I just don't understand. There you see a few potholes. But it's not as bad as it's not worse than anywhere else. The condition of the roads is I think it's pretty good. There's not many places you go to where there's a lot of roadworks. I think I've covered everything. I'm in my condo. I've given you a tour of the condo. I don't want to do it again. But I'll just turn this around. It is the view of the sea through that window. It's a bit cloudy today, but it'd still be nice enough to go to the beach. And if you can see the island, if I put it down, it's a Lango Island. It's a bit of land that's over there. That's a Lango Island. And these ferries you can see in front, there's a ferries. That's 40 pesos to get to a Lango Island. So you can go island hopping for 80 pesos, which is just over £1. You go to another island, and I've been there, and you can walk around there. I might do that I'm going to definitely do a Lango when I get the underwater camera. And it's quite there's the capital is Santa Rosa, which is just over there. You can see it. It's like a little town, and then you just get 3-wheelers. There's no buses there. There's just tricycles. But it's a very pleasant place. Unfortunately, I wanted to get Ruby into this video. She's a bit reluctant. She's sitting there at the table. just ask her if she's got any last words or if there's anything I've missed out. So Ruby, have you got any last words or anything I've missed out?
Nothing. It's perfect, boss.
She said it's perfect.
You good. It's good, boss.
She calls me boss. I think she's got the imagination that she's actually working for me at an hourly rate. But she does do everything. In a way she is. She cooks all the food. She does everything. What else does she do? Oh, cleans the flat. We go to Zumba together. That's another. One more thing. All right, I'll just get to my last point. I wouldn't say I'm a fitness fanatic, but I do like. I don't like running, but I do running, and I do, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a video of one of the runs, and we've got a Zumba class that's on the Mactan Shrine. So Mactan Shrine is a big square, which I've done in other videos as well. It's a big square where they celebrate the Lapu-Lapu, who was a warrior. He defeated Magellan, who was the Spanish conqueror of the land of the Philippines. He defeated him 500 years ago, or 504 years ago. Now, this square has got a statue of Lapu-Lapu with his sword, and it's a big space. It's not grass, but it's a big square, concrete square. It's got trees around it. It's a lovely place, and we do Zumba there. So every evening they do a Zumba class in the morning at 6 o'clock, and they do a Zumba class in the evening at 7. Which is when the sun's gone down, but it's still a sweaty class, even though it's in the dark. But there's lighting around there. It's really good. So you get an instructor that comes in, sets up his sound system there, and you just follow the instructor's moves for an hour. But after the hour, you are sweating. And it's a really good workout, and it gets your step count up. Probably adds about 8 to 10,000 steps to your step count for the day. And it's a great finish to the day. And after Zumba, we usually come back and go for a swim in the pool at night. And it's lovely swimming here. We've got a lovely big pool, which you'll see in other videos from this complex. I think that's I think that's about all. I'm sorry you couldn't have. I've featured Ruby in a couple of little videos. Pity she didn't want to come on this one. I'll try and persuade her to come on future ones, because it's nice to get a Filipino's point of view. It's nice to be with a Filipino when you're out and about. Not only for the prices, you know what's going on with people. You know what to look for. She can guide you to the safe places. You get better prices, and at Zumba, she can talk to people and make friends, and they're all about the same age. And with me, they're all talking in Cebuano. Cebuano's the local dialect, so they won't be speaking. Although English is the language here, they won't be speaking English to each other. But signs and everything are in English, and people do speak English. But obviously they've been brought up with their own language, so they prefer to speak Cebuana, which is, I don't understand it. So now because she talks to me a little bit in Cebuana, I know quite a few words. So when she says a word, I know what it means. So it's good to know a little bit. I would recommend anyone to do that, to just know a little bit of the language so you can say one or two things. One last thing. I'm not being paid to advertise. No one. I haven't got enough viewers to. I'm not making any money from it, so and I don't care. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm not going to ask you to even like, because I'm not doing this for monetary gain. I'm doing this for my own record. But I know people seem to like these videos with some information in them. So if you have watched the whole thing up to now, and well, you couldn't have been bored, could you? You wouldn't have. You would have switched off before. So if you have watched it, I thank you for watching, and I'm going to just end the video now, and look forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to having the GoPro. So I will see you soon, and I hope this video has been useful for you. I'm going to just sign West Ham shirt. Say goodbye to all the other West Ham supporters. Cheers.